Hi, welcome back to Blam Blam Truckers. I'm Bees. I'm going solo. I'm in here to talk to you about the monk for the third time. Now, some of you will have noticed that I've attempted to talk to you about the monk previously. I called it EQ, monkeying around. You see what I did there? That pun's only been going since 1999. It's still fresh. Still fresh. It's not still fresh. So, first attempt, I didn't have my mic set up properly, and you got a very, very quiet video. Second attempt, I deleted. And I had 2 days of work that just knocked me on my butt, and today is day 3. I'm not recovered. I don't know if I've got high energy in me. What do you think, Sunstreaker? Do I have high energy in me? You don't have any energy in you. You are a human. Even Sunstreaker's against. Can you believe that? Sunstreaker's against me. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna finish the video. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, there are 6, not 8. 6. I'm way off screen. What am I? Okay, 3. There you go. 3 and 3. 6. Like Wolverine's claws. Over here. There we go. Like Wolverine's claws. 6 rolls. 6. They are the classic 3. Tanking, healing, damage. We've said this so many times. Then there's the 3 other rolls. These are EverQuest rolls. Debuffing, debuffing, pulling, and crowd control. These are not jelly rolls. Yes, Calzone Golem, that one's for you. He told me hearing that stupid joke for the 100th time is the best part. So, we'll do it again later. I might do Necros tonight, which are like Necros but mispronounced. All right. Monk is one of my all-time favorite classes. I'm good at it. It's fun. I do not like pulling as much as one would think, which kind of makes me just had enough of getting told, you need to pull. I was made my guilds. The one year I did this, so many, many moons ago, when I was but a lad, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, right before or after the pandemic, I was popping on a new TLP, as I am wont to do. And Buse was like, yeah, I'll no life with you through Memorial Day weekend. And I'm like, cool. We should be able to hit 50. We hit about 35, 38, maybe. We didn't quite hit 40. I was very disappointed. Had a good time, but I was very disappointed. No lifing means we just play a request for 2 days, basically. Could have been 3, but it was really basically 2 days. We just played EverQuest. We only got to 35. It was just, like I said, disappointing. I expected to hit 50. When I do this on my own, I usually hit 50. But, c'est la vie. Buse and I are not as in sync in game as we would like it to be. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just telling you some facts. It's as much my fault as it is his fault, or as much of my credit as it is his credit, however you care to look at it. We don't play EverQuest together very often. Never have, oddly enough. Which is ironic, because our Sunday night get-together that we've been doing for like 8 years now was to play EverQuest on Mangler, or 9, or whatever it is. That's why we started getting together every Sunday night, was to play EverQuest together on Mangler. And then he didn't make a lot of Sundays, which is okay. And then our friend joined. I don't have a nickname for him, and I don't want to just use his regular name. So he joined, and I played for. I'm only good for about. This is back when I had my old job, so I couldn't make every Sunday either. By the way, I had to play at work, which I can't always play at work, but I tried, and I made most Sundays. But there were sometimes I didn't make it every Sunday. So it's not like I'm blaming Buse. I'm not. This is just the way it goes. And in that old job, I didn't have enough time to play with people enough to really want to stay. With the new job, I hate even leaving my new guild just to go and play in this new server, but I love the new server. I love grouping. This is when I enjoy the game the most. It's when I get the most out of it. My guild leader already knows. So he's like, dude, you're going to come back. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And I'm generally only good for a couple of months in a game anyway. We've talked about this before. I'm surprised how much I played EverQuest with this new guild, but they're fun people. Anyway, I played a monk, and I leveled that monk up to 50 the very next day on my own after I got home from Buse's place. And it could have been the day after, but the next day I had free. I no-lifed it and got from 35 to 50. So, yeah. I had a lot of fun. But then I joined this guild, and ironically enough, Forever Raiders. No. Yeah, Forever Raiders. Yeah. And so I was the puller for the guild, and I'm like, I don't know how to pull. That's not true. I don't know these end-time raids well enough to pull them, especially like Fear. Because Fear is an experience. It's different than almost every other raid. Everything in the zone, everything around you will attack you. And they're all chained together aggro-wise, and it's just obnoxious. So I'm better at it now, but this is my first time really getting to Fear in decades. And I didn't make it on Mangler. We did a lot of hate on Mangler. I knew hate really well, but I didn't really know. Plane of Fear. Anyway, it was just what it was. So I ended up swapping tunes, and I forget what I went to. I went Enchanter eventually, and I kill as an Enchanter. I'm very good at it. Anyway, I don't like playing it that much, but there's reasons for that. We'll cover that. Oh, I didn't cover that in Enchanter. Basically, what it comes down to is two things. One, there's a couple of levels where you just don't have an effective Mez spell, and that drives me up a wall. That's just bad game design. And the bad game design drives me up a wall more than experiencing it. It's like, I can still charm, and I can still root. I can get through this, and I have. I've gotten Chanters to 60, where everything's okay, but you also took away the usefulness of my level 2 Mez, which is the greatest Mez spell in the game, and you take it away from me, Daybreak. How dare you? They put a level cap of 55 on it. It's always been there. They didn't really do it. Varant did back in the day. Never thinking we'd get past level 55, or there'd ever be a mob higher than level 55 that wasn't a raid mob. But, decisions made in 1998 are interesting decisions if you don't go back and revisit them. So I played a monk. I pulled Hate, I pulled Sky, I pulled Fear for about 2 weeks. And I really didn't like doing any of it. Because all I was doing was pulling. And I don't like... It's not that. Pulling isn't why I play the game. I play the game to be a DPS or a tank or a crowd control. Pulling's fine. I don't mind doing it. But it is not what I log into the game to do. This is why I have not mained a monk since. I have gotten monks pretty high level, and I've considered maining a monk again. But pulling does not... Pick 2 roles. If I pick 2 roles, pulling is like my third role. It's like, okay, I'll do that too. Unless I'm playing a tank. If I'm playing a tank, my main role is tanking. My secondary role is pulling. I have no problem with that. Most of my time is going to be spent tanking. I'm not worried about the pulls. But if I'm pulling the whole time, I'm not staying for the full fight. And it's not... Monks do it the best. They really do. They shouldn't, but they do. They don't. Bards are actually better, but Feign Death is an amazing thing. All right. So that killed 10 minutes, and I haven't even gotten into the class yet. The 2 things you pick when you make a monk is puller and damage. You are not the highest damage class in the game, despite what people say. You're not the highest melee damage class in the game, except for the original EverQuest, before Kunark. Once Kunark hits, rogues can not only keep up with you, they outpace you. And they will forever. 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 Not by a lot at first, but it's noticeable. But they do have to be properly geared, and you don't. That's why I have this screen up. So Monk's pull with Feigned Death, it's amazing. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it a lot. Probably. I certainly did in the last 2 attempts. The reason I have this chart up is to show you your DPS. And I should bring up the calculator, which I probably won't bother trying to put on screen, because I'm not a very good editor, especially on the fly. So, at level 1, your fists, and you are the only class that can use both fists, lefty and righty, at the very, very start of your game. From level 1 on, you get dual wield. So that is 3 divided by 38. Read the chart, folks. Read the chart. 3 divided by 38. So 3 divided by 38 equals... You're starting at a .078, which is not great, but hey, nobody else is doing much better. At level 60 in this expansion, and we are starting all the way through Velius. It doesn't get higher than 60. Ignore that 65 there. You really don't have to. We could do the 65 one. So we're going to clear this. Clear! Oh, that was exciting. I love it when a plan comes together. You are a 23/38. That means without any weapons in your hands, just by the sheer act of getting to level 60 as a monk, you are doing 2338 with lefty and righty. Which is, by the way, .605. .605, which is very impressive, except the monk's epic is .6, and his best weapon from Sky is over .6, which means rogues, just from auto attack damage, can out damage monks. Then we all know backstab beats out, even a poorly equipped backstab beats out your... Monks get 2 attacks. They can attack with their fists, and they can attack with their feet, for which I will not try and get a foot into screen of my own, but I will use Sunstreaker's foot. He can attack with his foot, he can attack with his fist. Boy, he's an exciting robot. Hi, I'm an exciting robot. Rogues can only backstab. That's their special ability. But backstab does more damage than your foot and your fists put together. Is it a lot? Not yet. But it will be! And it keeps getting better. Rogues are the premier melee damage dealers in the game. And the reason why I'm harping on this, and I'm going to harp on it even more in the Rogue video, is because there is a idiotic rumor going around that monks outdamage rogues. And they do in original, and they do for most of Kunark till a rogue really equips himself with the best weapons. Having said that, that's just with your fists. That's not with weapons of your own. That's just with your fists. With weapons of your own, you can now compete better with monks if your weapons can meet up with his weapons as far as ratio go and other, attributes and stats. You, as a monk, your fists, you can't put... in TLPs, you can put damage augments into your weapons. You can't put damage augments into your fists, which drives me up a wall because I love damage augments because I think they're cool. I know. It's not a big deal. It's not a ton of damage, but boy, do I think it's cool. So rogues have that going for them, unless you get 6 to use. Yes, your epic as a monk is a robe. It's not a weapon. That's why we don't call them all epic weapons. We call them epics. We covered the mage who gets an epic spell, which is really, really epic. It speeds you up. It speeds you up. It turns you from a 2338 to a 2326. It is a 25% haste. It adds some attack power. It adds some strength or armor class or whatever it adds. It's Jonathan's Whistling Ward song. It's a bard song. But you can right-click it on your chest piece, and bam, now you have given yourself clicky haste. Well, guess what, folks? There's 3 kinds of haste in the game. There is haste on an item, haste on it from a spell, which clicky haste is, and there is, even though it's on an item, there's haste that is naturally on the item, like the rogue haste. There is haste from a spell, which is the clicky haste on the monk epic. And then there's also certain bard songs can top you out to 100 till we get to, it's either Luckland or Plains of Power. I think it's Plains of Power, but I don't remember. Where you can get V3, which is bard over haste, which can get you up to 150. So, your clicky haste is going to be replaced in almost every single raid you go on with Enchanter's Celerity, which is just a ridiculously fast. I think it's 50% haste. So you need to find a weapon, an item, besides your epic that will grant you the maximum of 41% haste from, and they're not that hard to find. They're very quick searches, really. Your Sky Gear might do it. You need to find an item that will give you 41% item haste. So then you will also have 50% haste from clicky or spells, which will give you celerity. Celerity will give you that from the enchanter at your raid, and then some bard haste if the bard happens to be in the group with you, which he probably won't be, but he might be. It's rather inconvenient having bards in the group when you're a monk and you're pulling. That'll get you to 100% haste. That ain't bad. Monks do a lot of damage. Now, when I say rogues are the premier melee damage dealers in the game, I'm not kidding. Monks, however, are right there with them for a number of expansions, for all 3 of these expansions and the next 3 to 6 or whatever it is. I forget when rogues start pulling ahead immediately, and then they just keep going, which is pretty cool for rogues. But for right now, you're going to be one of the top damage dealers in the game, but naked. No weapons, and you are one of the top, no armor, no weapons, nothing. But naked, you are one of the top damage dealers in the game. Rogues need the equipment. That is a negative for negative for rogues and a positive for monks. Yes, it is. That's a big win in your category. Just because you're not, but again, so I dealt with this, and my buddy dealt with this when he mained a rogue, and I mained a ranger. Not Buse, a different buddy. Ironically, from the same state. But he's one of my internet-only friends. They're real people. I've talked to them. They sound real. I'm a real person. This is not AI. No one would ever make this on AI. Come on, folks. Let's be real here. Anyway, there's a lot of hate from the player base for rogues and rangers. Especially real rogues and rangers. Oh, rangers aren't real tanks. Oh, rogues do less damage than monks. So I'm combating that. Having been hit by that kind of prejudice, which is when you judge someone before you actually get to know them. Prejudice. I hate it, and I got to stand against that kind of injustice. I tend to have to stand against most kinds of injustice, as you guys know, about how I feel about Disney not being punished for abusing their political system for all those decades since the 1960s. Anyway, that's way off topic. Monks are serious damage dealers. So your 2 roles that you can definitely fulfill are damage, which we've been talking about, and tanking. As a monk, if you don't want to use weapons for the first 3 expansions, you're silly. Nice call for the first, for the original content. Not a great call for Kunark when you start getting weapons that can really compete with 0.6. And Velius when there are more weapons that can compete with 0.6. Start looking for those weapons. Anyway, EQ. So we're on the EQ progression server right now? Okay, so we're going to go to... nope. Class guides / epics. Leather. It's pronounced leather. I know that. Leather. Monk. Best in slot classic, Kunark, and Velius. So we'll go to classic first, because we like classic. And we get an advertisement. Don't ever visit them. Aren't I nice? Primary, Wu's Fist of Mastery. We bring it up. Oh, good, you can see it. It has a ratio in Classic, so I was wrong about this. Wu's Fist of Mastery, which is best in slot, is not lore, and it has a ratio of 0.727. You know what? They are better than Rogues. Rogues can only get up to 0.6. 0.727. Wow. I wonder how we get that. Oh, it's the Plane of Sky Monk Quest. So you do that twice, and you will have two 0.727 weapons, which you can throw augments into. That's amazing. That is straight up amazing. I did not know about that. Wow. You're already ahead of Rogues. I was wrong. Rogues do less damage. Not a lot less, but they do less. We'd have to factor in the whole, what do you call it there? Backstab versus your 2 attacks. Primary for best in slot. Now, granted, this is the Monk 1.0 Epic. Celestial Fists, which apparently is also not lore. It is lore. Yay. Wow. There is no ratio on this thing, which means it uses your 0.6 ratio, but it gives you a ton of stats. Look at that 20 strength right there. Sitting out there saying, I'm going to do a lot of damage. The Celestial Fists are the epic that starts in Cabalus. The Robe of the Whistling Fists is the epic that starts in either Quanos or Freeport, or somewhere on Atanica. I don't remember. But it's the one what's normally considered the epic is the robe, not the fists. But the fists are amazing. And it is lore. You can only wear one. But, yeah. It says wear no weapons with this option. Hands. Oh. Oh. It goes in your glove spot. It doesn't go in your weapon spot. It just goes in your glove spot. Interesting. Very interesting. Does that stack with Jonathan's Whistling War Song from the chest piece? This is going slower than I expected it to. Robe of the Lost Circle. Robe of the Lost Circle gives you... Why would you be wearing that? Shiverback Hide Jerkin from Plane of Fear. Gives you 13 strength. That's worth wearing. Weird. Anyway, yeah, I guess you can outdamage rogues. What do you know? I was wrong. Unless Backstab makes up the difference, which it probably does. Backstab does insane damage. I take it all back. Actually, I don't. I really don't know. Rogues do absurd damage. Monks are right up there with them. One of them outdamages the other. Wow. 7.27. No stats, though. I'm sorry, 0.727. No stats. I gotta see that again. Wu's Fist of Mastery, which you can't see because all the ads are popping up. Can we close any of these? No, we can't. Boop. Yeah, 0.727. Let me scroll down a little so you guys, yeah, you can see it now. 0.727. Well, slap me around and call me Susan. Still, if you can get a rogue in your group, get a rogue in your group. Yes, the monk can pull and the rogue can't, but if you just need a damage spot, you got 3 of them. You need a puller, you need a tanker, and you need a healer and a CC. So I guess you got 2 spots left over, and all those guys are going to be doing some bit of damage too. But for the last 2 spots, consider a rogue. Consider a ranger. They just don't get the love they deserve. All right. Wow. I feel a bit of an innie. I did not know that existed. I did know it existed. I did not know it was 0.727. Alrighty, here we go. Like I said earlier, you can do one attack with your fists and one attack with your feet. Your final attack, flying kick, comes at level 30. So by level 30, you've got all the attacks you're going to get. Your best fist attack, if you're human, is Dragon Punch. If you're an Icky Ixar, both of them come at level 25. It is Tail Rake. Dragon Punch does more damage than Tail Rake. Not a lot, but it is known. Maybe they fixed it and I don't know about it. That happens. Then you've got Flying Kick. Between those two attacks, you're doing a lot of extra damage. And you have, of course, at level 17, Feigned Death. When you hit level 17, I'll say finish out with the group. If they still want you. Finish out with the group. And get whatever levels you can out of that grouping experience. And then run, don't walk, back to your trainer and train Feigned Death. Don't train anything else. Don't use any of your points on training for anything else until you hit 7, including Mend, including Bind Wound, until you get Feigned Death maxed out as high as you can get it at level 17. Spend money on it. Save money for it. You need to be great at Feigned Death. You just want it maxed out for your level. Spend as much as you can on it. Blow the wad. This is your pearl of great price. Spend everything you've got. Get Feigned Death. Because when you turn into a human flip-flop, flip, flop. I said a flip, flop. A flippy to the flip, flip, flop. You don't stop a rockin' till the bang, bang, mobby, and up jumps the monkey. And you're banging on the mob to the beat. And you're beating on the mob to the beat. I don't know. To the rhythm of the beat? The rhythm of the night? Monks flop. And Feigned Death is the single greatest skill in the game. I've said this for 3 videos now. I stand by it. Feigned Death is the single greatest skill in the game. It is about 1 billion times better than Necro Feigned Death and Shadow Knight Feigned Death. And despite the fact that Necro and Shadow Knight Feigned Death is the same Feigned Death, it takes 1 second to cast theirs. So they're sitting there, they're getting attacked by Megatron, and, here comes our heroic Shadow Knight, which is an ironic thing to say. I'm the heroic Shadow Knight, I'm pulling to the group. And he's pulling Megatron and Bone Crusher, who are beating on him. If he wants to feign death, he's got to wait 1 second. So it's beat, 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 beat. 1,000. Flop. I wonder if he's dead. Well, that spell has a higher fail chance than the skill itself does, so I don't think he's dead. Bam, bam, bam. Now he can get back up and fight and run and whatever he wants to do. But he's used his feigned death. This has happened to me. And he has to wait 10 seconds to cast it again. It has a 10-second cooldown, which is evil. The devs are evil. Floppy McFloppy Pants the monk, on the other hand, he's running along. Ha-ha, I'm a monk! He's running along getting beaten on by Bone Crusher and Megatron. Ah, we're beating on you, Floppy McFloppy Pants the monk. And Floppy McFloppy Pants goes, flop. And they go, this is a higher success rate than the spelled version does. I think he's actually dead. And if they do think you're alive, it actually failed for once. You stand up, and you flop again. There's no cooldown. There's no cast time. And the mobs will forget about you eventually. You don't lull pull. When you need to single pull to the group, which just means there's no CC in your group, or only double pull or whatever, there's a couple of ways to do it. And because you're the king of the flop, the flip, flop, the flippy to the flip, flip, flop. This is how you do it. This is how you do it, baby. So we're going back to the 80s rap. Bone Crusher and Megatron. Bone Crusher, whose leg is on backwards, are standing there together because they're friends. Hi, Megatron, I'm Bone Crusher. Hi, Bone Crusher, I'm Megatron. Let's be friends. Let's actually just kill some Autobots. Yay, we love it, killing Autobots! This is so stupid. So they're standing there. Along comes our friendly monk, Sunstreaker. He used to be a Shadow Knight, but this is a different example. He gets out his trusty gun, which he doesn't allowed to have in the monk class, so we're just going to pretend this is throwing a throwing axe. By the way, the best thing to get is a throwing axe for your throwing skill. They are dirt cheap. They have 150 range. You don't need anything more than that for almost anything in the game. If you do, get a throwing spear or javelin. They have a range of 200. They're very cheap. They're not as light as a throwing axe, and weight does still matter for your added AC of being a monk. But get a throwing axe. Get a lot of them. They're relatively cheap. They're pretty much the cheapest long-range weapon you can get. Get a lot of them. Get used to using them. You're not allowed to use a bow. Why? I don't know. Throws his throwing axe, and he hits Megatron. Yes, Megatron. The guy with a cannon on his arm. Probably the one guy you really don't want to get mad at you. Here he comes, running down the street, bringing his buddy Bone Crusher. Oh, ain't it neat? You run away from their spawn point, hopefully, if you're smart, toward your group. Hopefully they haven't gotten close enough to beat on you yet. When you get away from their spawn point enough that they won't re-aggro when you pop back up from your flop, you do the flip, flop, the flippy to the flippy to the flip, flip, flop, and you flop. Oh, I'm dead. They come and look at you. They're like, you think he's dead? I think he's dead. I think he's dead. Well, he hit me. Megatron's like,
He hit me with a throwing axe because he listened to bees on Blam Blam Truckers.
if I said the wrong thing at the beginning of this video, I'm going to be so mad. Bone Crusher, who did not get hit, and all of his buddies, all of his Decepticon friends, will all leave first. The guy who did get hit, in this case, Megatron, hi, I am Megatron, will stay there a few seconds longer, probably about 5 or so. Once Bone Crusher is out of range, stand up. You have now successfully, once he's out of aggro range, stand up. You have now successfully single target pull. You're a genius. You should be a monk all the time. You run back to group, Megatron follows you, beating on you. As soon as you get back to the group and the tank starts doing damage, you have initial damage. You have a high aggro on you. As soon as you start seeing on your group window that the tank's aggro has gone up into the double digits, and I mean 10, not 11, 10. That means the monk, the tank has hit him. That's all you want. As soon as that happens, flop. Hopefully you drop aggro. If not, stand up and flop again. It takes a second for the aggro meters to update. This drops your aggro to 0. 0 is where you want your aggro during the fight. You do not ever want any more aggro than you can have when you're fighting. You want it when you're pulling, but only when you're pulling. So you've dropped yourself to the bottom of the bag while he's fighting your good friend, the tank over here, Hound.
Hi, I'm Hound. I'm a tank. At least I am today.
Bam, bam, bam. They're smashing into each other. You stand up and you start beating on Megatron from behind. It's not very nice. It's not very fair, but we don't care. We're adventurers. We're not here to be nice. We're here to get paid and get some experience points. That's single pulling. The exact same thing is single pulling when it's a slightly different scenario. Slightly different. We have our good friend the monk, Sunstreaker. Yes, Sunstreaker, one of my least favorite Autobots. Then why'd you buy him, Bees? They come in random. You have to buy the box. You don't know what you're getting. All right, so you got your 2 Decepticons. Once again, you shoot Megatron because, you're throwing an axe and you're going to hit him with your axe. So you whack Megatron with the axe. They both come. You run out. This time you run all the way out to the group, but you stay outside their aggro radius of the mobs to the group. So you're within range of the group's ranged weapons, but you're not in range of the mob's aggro radius. And you're like, how am I supposed to know what this is? Well, you're not really going to be doing this pull until after 20, and by that point, you'll have figured out aggro radius just by walking over it by accident. And if your tank is any good kind of tank, and I'm not saying they are, they have a bow. All 4 classes with that are considered traditional tanks that can wear full plate, or in the Rangers' case, chain, can all equip a bow. Hopefully they have a bow and they have an arrow. If you have the worst bow in the game with the worst arrow in the game, you have a range of 100. That's all you need. Hopefully you've gotten your archery skill up to the point where you tend to hit. So this is how it's going to happen. Same exact scenario. They're coming after you. The actual aggro is on Megatron because he's the one you hit with the axe. It is not on Bone Crusher. It is on Megatron. This guy right here in the gray with the arm cannon. Oh, that makes it look like Bone Crusher. This guy right here. So, when you flop, Bone Crusher will walk away. If your tank knows what he's doing, and I'm not saying he does, you will flop. The tank, Hound, will wait until Bone Crusher walks away. Then he will shoot Megatron with an arrow. Megatron will come running to him. You will pop back up. Your aggro will be 0. You will run and join the fight, punching Megatron and kicking Megatron repeatedly in the back. Never in the front, always in the back. Watch your aggro meter. As soon as you go yellow, flop. Don't wait for red. As soon as you go yellow, flop. But bees, if I wait for red, I'll do more damage. I don't care. Never take the aggro off the tank. Why not, bees? Because you want it. The tank needs to keep all the... You don't want to make the cleric heal you. You don't want to make any healer heal you. Your job is to not take damage during the fight. You will take damage while you pull. You don't want to take damage during the fight. Okay? That's more work for everybody. Just because it takes an extra 3 seconds to kill the mob, the tank's taking all that damage. He can mitigate damage drastically better than you can, as good as monks are at mitigating damage. Full plate tanks are going to be a lot better at it. Their AC, both avoidance and mitigation, is drastically higher than yours. Your avoidance is way up there, but your mitigation is terrible. It's just terrible. Now, there's going to be some monks on here who are like super high level monks, and they're going to be like, that's not true, that's a lie. Compared to a tank with full plate, his mitigation AC is higher than yours. That's the way it is. You've got great AC. I know you do. You keep your weight lower than it needs to be so that you can have all that wonderful AC bonus from being a monk, and you're playing a lizard, so you get the AC bonus from being a lizard. Let's talk about that. Which race should you pick? Ixar. Boy, that was easy. If you've never played the game before, probably a human, honestly. If the idea of pulling appeals to you, and it is fun, don't get me wrong, it's not that it's not fun, but after I've been working all day and I'm dead tired, I don't want to think. I just want to kill stuff. I'd break out my Atari and kill space invaders, or fight ghosts as Pac-Man, or whatever. But that was the Atari. This is what I'm doing now. 25 years too late. I am killing monsters in EverQuest again. And I like it. Okay. We have the stats up here. Who's better, humans or Ixars? Ixars. Can't see it in the stats, though. I'm going to move this window. You're not going to notice me moving this window, except for where my face points on the camera, so I'm actually kind of looking at the camera. Okay. Humans have a strength of 80. Strength is very important. The higher your strength, the more damage you do with lefty and righty. Hi, we're lefty and righty. We like to do damage. Humans have a higher strength. Humans have a higher stamina. Stamina is your hit points. The more hit points you have, the better you're going to feel. Humans have a lower agility, but who cares? Agility caps off in Classic at 75. Anything more than 75 is a waste of points. Put them somewhere else. If you have agility on your gear, don't get rid of it, but look for something that's better for you. Agility is pretty much pointless. After 75, you have to get it to 75. That's clearly not a problem for either one of these guys. Or girls, or however you care to identify. Dexterity is 85 for humans and 95 for Ickies. Ickies have the advantage here, which means you can proc more often. Which you can't do if you're using lefty and righty. You don't get a proc if you're using lefty and righty. Get some weapons, because apparently you have an amazing proc weapon in the game. Not proc, amazing ratio weapon with no stats on it from the Plane of Sky quests, which you can get 2 of. So consider doing that. You don't have any stats on your hands anyway. Sorry, it's a whole thing there going on. Wisdom doesn't matter. Int doesn't matter. Charisma kind of matters. Humans get 20 more charisma. It will affect the prices when you are buying and selling from vendors. And that's about it. Doesn't really matter. Go out and find a... If you don't want to do trade skills, go out and find a potter and get 2, count them, 2 opal encrusted signs. They have 25 charisma apiece on them, even at 55 charisma. That'll get you over 100. 100 is all you need to get the best prices. At that and faction at, I want to say it's indifferent, but it might be amiable. It's not a lot of faction. And you put those into your hands when you're selling, take them out when you're not selling, and yeah, you're good to go. That's it. Ixar clearly are worse, according to the stats. Clearly. However, there's a caveat. There's a lot of caveats in this game. In fact, they should have called it caveat. I don't think it would have sold, though. 5 strength and 5 stamina is not that big of an advantage. And 10 dex is a chance of proccing less than 1 more time a minute. It's not that big of a deal. You're going to max your stats out by Velius with your quest armor. You are. We all do. You'll be at 255 strength, either one of these guys. You'll be at 255 stamina, either one of these guys. And then dex is your next big thing to max out. I'm not saying it'll be at 255, but with all your raid buffs, it will be. Maybe not when you're soloing or grouping, but in raids, your stats will be crazy. They're crazy anyway. It's not that enough of a difference. It's the racials that make the difference. In Ixar, get 2 racials that are more impactful for you than almost any other class. Except, of course, for Necros, which I may or may not get to tonight. Monks can, quote-unquote, solo. Meh. If you've ever played a druid or heard me talking about druids, or which I did a video on, or necromancers, or shadow knights, or enchanters when you really want to do it, or bards. Bards are weird when they come to soloing. They're good at it, but it's different. They can solo. They can have enough control powers to solo mobs. Technically, berserkers can solo too, because they can attack from range quite well and snare the mob, which gives them all they need to solo outside. So can rangers. Wizards are fantastic at it, though not many people do it. This is how you solo. Let me get out Sunstreaker and the boys. You guys want Bone Crusher, don't you? He's the fan favorite. All of these comments you're not making, I can tell you want Bone Crusher because he has a tail. And Ixars have tail. He must be an Ixar Decepticon. So Ixar is going to be... Bone Crusher here is going to be our Ixar monk. Sunstreaker, for once, is going to not play the hero. What? I demand to play the hero. I always play the hero. You're a pain in the butt. We're getting Hound. Hound is the bad guy this time around. Say hi, Hound.
Hi, Hound.
Bone Crusher comes in. He sees an even con. His health is at 80% or better. Probably close to 100. He attacks Hound. He hits Hound with an axe, pulls him away, single pulls him into an isolated place, because Hound's going to run, unless he's an undead. Undead don't run. Hound is going to run, he's going to get away, he's going to try to get away when he gets to low health, and you don't want that. So you bring him over here, and you can't snare him. If you could snare him, you'd be one of the best soloing classes. Now it's just something you can do. You're pounding on Hound and beating on him, you're throwing in kicks, because you're a monk and you can kick, and you can punch, and you can kick, and you're an Ixar, so you can tail rake. Tail rake! It's very impressive. It really is. I know. kind of downplaying it, but it is. You can do enough damage because you are one of the premier damage dealers on the server, which I didn't know about that .727. You can do enough damage that you can actually do more damage than you take fast enough, often, sometimes with even cons, usually with something a level or two lower than you in the blue area. Not the light blue area, the blue area. You can solo blues, which most classes can't solo blues, even with some of their control abilities. The main ones can, the main soloing classes can, the rest of them cannot. Warriors have a hard time soloing blues, and even in the best of gear. The reason why you can solo so effectively is because when when Bone Crusher here is beating on Hound, if any of Hound's buddies come over, like Sunstreaker over here, yes, I'm back as the hero! You're a dork. He comes running into the fight. Now Bone Crusher has to fight two of them. Hey, it's a good thing you pulled away from the spawn point, because now when you flip and flop and flippy to the flip flip flop, and you don't stop a rockin', when you flop, these guys will now leave you alone and go back to their bind point. They'll regen at a ridiculous rate because they're mobs, they're NPCs, but you survived the fight. You lost, but you survived the fight. You don't always lose. Sometimes you do enough damage to, that Hound goes down first. That's fine. That's good. That's what you want. But if it doesn't happen and you're sitting there all flopped out and feeling miserable, once they get out of range, you sit. You do not stand, you sit, and you bind wound to 70, which you can do now. You can bind wound to 70 now. It used to be 50 in Classic, but now it's 70. You bind wound all the way up to 70. You stand up, you hit mend. Mend is the other skill you want to get maxed out. You wait until after. I know it comes earlier. Be clicking on it and practicing it, and yes, it can do you damage, but be practicing mend every chance you get. Save your training points for feigned death at 17. Sorry. Once you're done with feigned death, put your points into mend. Then sneak. Sneak is an amazing skill, but we're not talking about that, right? You bind wound to 70. Mend can heal you up 25% of your total life, I think. I think it's 25%. 70 plus 25 is 95%. If you add in Ixar regen, then you're going to be regenning the whole time you're on the ground. Not great, just combat regen, but it's it's better than human regen. It's 1 point more until level 50, and then things start getting interesting. Let's see if I can find if the chart is here for how much you regen and what the difference is. Doobie doobie doo. Yes, regeneration rates. Is it? There it is. Now it's on screen. 1 to 19, a human gets 2, an Ixar gets 4 while sitting. 1 while feigned death, 1 while standing. For an Ixar, it's 2 while feigned death, 2 while standing. You will notice you are 2 while feigned death or standing until level 50. That's not great. But at 51, you jump to 8 at feigned death and 6 at standing. At 15, from 56 to 59, you jump to 12 at feigned death, 10 while standing. And at 60, you jump to 14 while feigned death and 12 while standing. At level 60, for a human, you are at 5 natural regen per feigned death, per tick per feigned death, with tick is about 5-6 seconds, and 4 while standing per tick. Yeah. Would you rather be making 12 hit points while standing or 4 hit points while standing? This is not a trick question. Plus you get an AC bonus. Everybody's going to go Ixar. Ixar are hated everywhere except their home city. You're going to be doing lots of faction to get big quests done until the very next expansion of Velius, where everybody has bad faction, though yours is still the worst. And then the moon comes after Velius. If you're sticking around for Lucklin, nobody cares about you being an Ixar on Lucklin. And then you get to the Plains of Power. Nobody cares about you being an Ixar in Plains of Power. So, long term, Ixar is better. Short term, Ixar is better. If you're only sticking around and you don't want to do all the faction grinding, and there's a lot of faction grinding, go human. Makes getting your Robe of the Whistling Fists easier. If you're going for the Celestial Fists instead, and you don't want the Robe of Whistling Fists, if you're not doing that epic, you're doing the other epic, go Rixar. It's that easy. You can have both, but they're both clickies, so one will overwrite the other. Weight penalty guide. This is your weight limit to get your AC bonus. Let me bring it up. At level 60, you need to be under 24.9 weight. At level 1 through 14, you need to be under 14.9 weight. That's it. If you are under that, which can easily be with 40 slot bags bought from the, what do you call it there? From EverQuest.com. Yeah, you can hit those. You can hit those no problem. That's all I have to say about that. Once again, I went about an hour, which is way too long. Way too long. Alright, boys and girls. I am tired. I am still worn out from yesterday when I worked a 15-hour day. You guys have a great day. Have a great night. Enjoy your EverQuesting. Dream about what you're going to do on the new server. I will see you there. Keep on trucking, you blam blam truckers.